Do you think that you're going through a spiritual awakening? In this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 crazy things that happen when you have one. Yes, if you think you're having a spiritual awakening, you probably are. Hey guys, I'm Kim and welcome back to the Higher Vibes Tribe community, the best place to connect to your truest, most authentic self through the law of attraction, developing a positive mindset, and taking care of your mental well-being. So, have you been feeling differently lately? Do you think you're going through a spiritual awakening? Well, there are no coincidences in this universe, so you found this video for a reason. If you think you're going through a spiritual awakening, honestly, you probably are. I have an entire video on how to know if you're going through a spiritual awakening, which I will link up here for you guys, just in case you need a little bit more confirmation that you are actually having one. But essentially, if you've started realizing things, questioning your former beliefs, and being open to new ideas, you're probably well on your journey already. And having a spiritual awakening is such an exciting time. So much changes during this period. There is so much to learn and unlearn. But it can also be a very difficult time as you are diving back into the past, healing traumas, figuring out who you really want to be, which a lot of the time is very different than who you were. It truly is a transformative time. And if you need a little bit more extra encouragement and confirmation that the journey is actually worth it, all the tough times, all the battles, I'm going to share 5 amazing things that happen during your spiritual awakening. And of course, every awakening is different. This is just my own experience, but these things are common with a lot of people who do awaken. And by the way guys, if you're enjoying this so far, I would really appreciate it if you could take a second to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification. So the first thing that happens when you have a spiritual awakening is you stop caring what other people think. This is such an awesome thing that comes out of an awakening. What others think just doesn't matter as much anymore. And I'm not saying that you're never going to care what others think, but it is reduced a lot. Because I mean, you realize so much when going through an awakening. You realize that we aren't humans having a spiritual experience. We are a spiritual being having a human experience. You will start to see that everything is temporary, especially moments of pain or shame, so you don't harbor on them for long. And you also know that you create your own reality, and the world is simply a mirror of your inner world. So whatever you think will be reflected back at you. So if you walk around thinking that everyone is judging you harshly for what you do, that is what is going to happen. But through an awakening, you realize if you let go of that fear and you remember that you create your own world, you realize that no one is actually judging you. And if they are, it doesn't matter. You know that someone else judging you means you have triggered something in them. You know that judgment in another is a reflection of them, and it doesn't say anything about you. And in fact, if someone does judge you, treat them with compassion and kindness, as you know that's just where on their journey they are right now. And this kind of fits nicely into my next point. The second thing that happens when you have a spiritual awakening is that you're connected in a way that you never were before. You will treat others with so much compassion, kindness, and empathy because you realize that we're all part of the same thing. We are the same. We are literally made up of the same thing the universe is made up of, and the universe lives inside of all of us. During an awakening, you realize that we're all on the same journey. It's just that some are further along in their journey than others, and we're all just at different parts of our journey. It isn't something to judge or say, haha, I'm further on in my journey than you are. This comes into play majorly when someone argues with you or judges you, like we discussed earlier. If someone is arguing with you or judging you, that likely means that you've awoken the ego inside of them. It's because they want to be where you are. They want to be living without caring what others think, or they want to be doing what you're doing. But instead of realizing that, their ego judges you instead. And this causes them to argue or fight with you. And because you know this, you see no point in arguing, but rather you offer them love and compassion on their journey. Like, this is something major I noticed with myself. Most of the time when I was annoyed by what someone else was doing, it's because deep down, I wanted to be like them. Like, if I thought someone was annoying because they were dancing too crazy or laughing too loudly and being annoying, it's because deep down I wish I could be like that. Like, I could just be in the moment, just enjoying and laughing and dancing as unapologetically as them. And yeah, this is a hard pill to swallow. Like, it isn't nice to admit that, but over time you will realize that we're all on the same journey and everyone will get to the final destination eventually. So in the meantime, it's so much easier to treat others with compassion and kindness because we know this. this. So the third thing that happens when you have a spiritual awakening is that you are committed to taking care of your energy. It affects everything in our life: how we feel, how we move through our day, how we interact with others, and what we manifest into our lives. So taking care of your energy becomes paramount. And what follows is that a lot of things in your life change. You start noticing what affects your energy and start making changes according to that. For example, who I interacted with changed a lot throughout my awakening. I did have some low vibe people in my life who I realized weren't benefiting me. You know, I had to do a little snip and cut them out. And I just want to say something important here. I know I just talked about treating others with compassion and kindness, but not at the expense of your own energy. There is nothing wrong with needing to take a step back from certain people in order to take care of your energy. Part of a spiritual awakening is starting to put your own needs first and cultivating that self-love you have for yourself. And this does mean distancing yourself from people who are negatively affecting your energy. Personally, other things that happened for me is I stopped watching the news. I literally can't remember the last time I watched the mainstream media. And yeah, I still stay informed. I still know what's happening, but I choose more carefully where I get my information from. And I don't just believe everything news outlets have to say. And I've started to make time for things that do make me feel good. And like, this isn't optional. This is a priority for me. Meditating is such a huge priority for me. Having time set aside to read books or to learn about spirituality or things that interest me. Having me time for me, which means lighting candles, incense, and just vibing out to music. Like, that makes my energy so happy. I also make sure I fuel my body properly with healthy foods that will make me feel good and will make me feel energized. And like, this doesn't happen all at once. It happens over time, and you will want to make these changes. I just want to clarify because that is something I kind of found daunting at the beginning. Like, I didn't want to be this completely different person, or at that time I thought there were some things I would never ever want to change, even though I did eventually want to change these things. So just know that it happens gradually and it will feel good and aligned when it happens. But yeah, just taking care of your energy becomes so important. So the fourth thing that happens when you have a spiritual awakening is that you want to be your true authentic self. You realize that our time here on earth is limited. You know what I always think about? Like, what if this is the only human experience that we have? Like, after this, our soul goes on, we're still conscious, but what if it's in a completely different way? Like, what if we don't have an actual body? This means that this may be the only life that we can run, jump, taste food, listen to music, use a blanket, cuddle a puppy, all of these things. And this just makes you want to go out and live life and live in accordance with your true authentic self. You realize that you came here on earth for a reason, and that is to be your true authentic self, to do the things you want to do and live the way you want to live. And you realize that also when you're yourself, you inspire others to be their true authentic self as well. Like, have you ever met someone and they're just so charismatic and just fun and carefree to be around, and you want to be around them because you're just feeling so good and having such a great time, and you feel comfortable around them too? And that's because this person is being their genuine self, and you feel welcome and encouraged to do the same just because they're being themselves. And you also realize that being your true authentic self is literally what you were meant to do here. Like, you came here on earth to be you, not someone else, and you didn't come here to listen to someone else. Think about the butterfly effect. If one little thing didn't happen, your life would be completely different. And it's the same thing here. You are meant to speak your mind, do things the way you do them, and say things the way that you want to say them. What you say and what you do, and doing it in the exact way that you feel called to, could be what someone else needs to light that spark inside of them too. This is why being your true authentic self is so important, because we are all individual and unique for a reason. And the fifth thing that happens when you have a spiritual awakening is you feel called to the past to do the inner work and face challenges head on. Yes, this is a major one. You will feel compelled and motivated to work through the tough stuff. You won't just want to keep on pushing forward without doing the inner work from the past, because it's going to be nagging at you, calling out to you for you to give it some attention. And you know, in order to fully evolve and feel good moving forward, we need to address the pain from the past. You realize that pain holds so many lessons and things that we need to go through in order to evolve and learn. And you're going to face it head on. And I'm not saying it won't be difficult, because it will be, but you're going to see challenges as things that you can grow from instead of mountains that you can never overcome. You know that doing the inner work not only heals you, but past and future versions of yourself too. When I realized this, it was so mind-blowing to me, because think about this for a second. Time isn't actually linear like we see it here on Earth. It isn't past, present, future. Time is more stacked on top of each other, like this. And what that means is everything is happening all at once, not one after the next. So when we heal now, we are actually healing for our younger self and our future self. Isn't that such a crazy concept? But yeah, you're gonna want to do the work because you know how much good will come out of it. So the main takeaway that I want you guys to have today is to know that a spiritual awakening is such a transformative time. You're going to feel called to be your authentic self. You will feel for others so much more, and you will want to work through the tough stuff. Even though it will be hard, trust me, it will be worth it. If you guys enjoyed this video at all, please like and subscribe, and as always, until next time, sending good vibes your way.